Welcome to CELab, the Customer Education Laboratory. I don't know, I shouldn't say it that way, but the Customer Education Laboratory, where we explore how to build customer education programs. We experiment with new technologies and new approaches, and we exterminate the myths and the bad advice that stop your organization's growth dead in its tracks. I'm Dave Darrington, and today we're kicking off on National Popcorn Lovers Day, okay, or National Meatball Day. And apparently today is, of all days, Mark, this is also National Barbie Day, which is cool. We get to own recognition. But seriously, what we're going to talk about today. So, Mark, just say hello to the audience. Where are you from? Welcome to the show.
Yeah. Hey, Dave. My name is Mark Hellinger. I'm just outside of San Diego, California.
Yeah.
And I'm the co-founder of Videate.
We're happy to have you today. Thanks for joining us, Mark. And today, speaking of Videate, this is a product that I know personally have used. It's really cool, folks. So let's frame this up by saying, Videate, you've been a great sponsor for us this year in the first inaugural sponsorship year of CELab, and I really appreciate that. And why? Let's talk about why. Like many of you, I'm breaking the fourth wall, talking to all of you in the audience, all of our friends. You know, you've probably had this journey like I have, and I'm going to talk from my own experiences right now. Video is so important. We're going to get into those discussions, right, Mark?
Yeah.
But creating video is hard. It's difficult. This is a thing that historically, you know, I taught at a university that had a media department. I was in the communications school where we were learning to do this kind of stuff with really complex technology. And making video has always been really hard. But now, 2023, we have technologies like the one we're going to talk today that help us through this problem. Getting over this exhaustion, I have to record my voice, I have to record all these things, I have to capture all this stuff, I have to assemble, just like a video production engineer would do, a story. And that's hard, that's complicated. So I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here, but what I want to enter into our discussion today, Mark, is we're talking about now in 2023, the world has palpably changed. From this cloud, B2B, B2C, software as a service, SaaS, we like to call it, snarkily, these technologies that we're making like your platform are now able to do some of the painful, tedious, annoying things that we've always had to do. It's magic, right? Including things like language and translation and voiceovers and all the stuff that has made me just go flipping nuts. So, Mark, I want to talk about some points. You and I have been chatting over email and such for a while in Slack. Let's get into a really good discussion about this. Let's talk about this space of video, how it's important to us in software, how can we use it, and then let's talk about Videate. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right. Let's tee up the first topic. So again, Mark, before we get going, you've introduced yourself a little bit. Can you tell me, as we get into discussions, what is this problem space in your own impression that you and the platform that you've co-founded and you're working on has been set out to help solve and break into?
Great. Well, you know, you've used a couple of words like B2B SaaS and video and things like that. So my partner and co-founder, Dave Gullo, who was really the smart one on the team, he invented the technology. You know, we both had experienced this problem being in the software space, the enterprise B2B space, whatever you want to call it these days.
Yeah.
That, you know, when you make software, you have to train people, right? Customer education.
Yeah.
And, you know, as the world's moved from, you know, heavily ILT to, you know, people want to self-serve beyond demand. And more importantly, as SaaS companies, you know, move to building modern SaaS platforms, the software changes all the time. 10 years ago, software changed twice a year. You were a happy camper. Customer education had to catch up twice a year. I mean, we talked to company after company that, the software changes every day, continuous integration, continuous delivery, from the engineering side. Now, it doesn't mean the UI changes every day, but the UI can change pretty frequently. So we were studying this problem and both had experienced it. And as you said, making video can be quite time consuming. And it really came down to this, like, how do you operate an engineering organization in a B2B SaaS company where you're changing the software all the time? And how do you get video made that keeps up with the software releases? And that's the problem we set out, basically creating and localizing is another aspect of, training and support videos, is it just time consuming? It's people intensive. And once you make it, it's obsolete. So that's the problem, because as soon as you finish, it's out of date. And so that's the genesis of Videate. How could we solve that problem? Because the state of the art, even as, much as you want to believe screen recording tools have gotten easier to use, the state of the art is, it just can't keep up. You can't keep up manually. Customer education, who tends to be where a lot of the specialty experience around video editing is, they just can't keep up. And that's it.
That makes it real easy for our audience to really grok it. I mean, I want to try to do this a couple of times through our discussion today, is connect with the actual felt experience. That person, that professional that you and your organization, Mark, have, that you get our problem. So let's go back in time. I'm going to go back in time to 2015. And that was pre-pandemic, height of the customer success movement, right? I would say we were squarely in the middle of it. I was working at Gainsight at the time. And maybe this will help, because what I want to do is frame up a moment in time where I'm feeling things as a professional. I'm trying to do my job, right? But we have emotions. We're emotional people. I am stressed out. I'm feeling like I'm getting washed over wave after wave after wave. I've told this to a manager at one point. It was like, I get knocked down and then I just get back up and get myself dusted off and dried off. And then I get hit by another wave of content that I have to build or maintain or update. And I think this is something, and now I'm breaking the fourth wall and I'm talking to a leader. I'm looking at you, leader, who may not, and I want you to feel the right things about this. Let's frame up a leader's perspective. I'm a senior director. I'm a VP. I am looking over and caretaking a team of people that are doing this work like you're talking about, Mark. They might be product marketing managers or product team, or I have a small limited pool of people who are doing kind of customer ed. But oh my gosh, we're overwhelmed, because if I have to load up a screen recording tool, I use Camtasia. I love a Camtasia. It's evolved, like you're saying. It's really cool. But if I have to do that time and time again, every quarter, every month, or continuously, the video change, I got to update it. Video change, got to update it. That's a human being, and you're asking me to do a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I think the updates, let me riff on that for a while. So that's really where the killer pain is. Look, if you're a good video editor, okay?
Yeah.
You can use Camtasia or Adobe products, or pick your Loom, or pick your screen recording tool du jour. And for a long time, some of the newer products that set out to take on the older, more established products, their basic premise was, we're web-based, or we're easier to use. It's kind of the argument Canva versus, Adobe Creative Suite. You get it becomes a religious argument after a while. They want to like better.
We're not talking religion on this show.
No, I'm just saying, it's or a political argument. What do you say? But screen recording unto its nature is not designed for updating. Video is not a format that was designed for making updates. So there's kind of an impedance mismatch. It doesn't matter how easy you make the tool to create something. As soon as your software changes, the UI changes, you have to remake it from scratch. There's no easy way to edit. And a bigger problem is when you have hundreds of videos and the software changes, the first question you have to ask is, which videos have to change? How do I know there's of my library of 300 videos, like these 32 have to change. So that was what we set out really as the bar of the problem. So like if you work backwards, our product guaranteed will make videos faster than a screen recording tool. We'll explain. But the real problem is the speed of updates and the content volume is increasing. It's not getting less. That boss you mentioned, the person who doesn't really know what that individual contributor does, is, the need for content is getting greater and greater, not just video content, but help articles and product documentation and, all the things you use in onboarding and everything else. So I would then take it to the next level which is people are global now. If you're a company at a certain size, a SaaS company, one of your biggest challenges is going global. And you can start selling globally, but then you got to build your UI to perform in native languages. And if the UI is in native languages, you got to build all the support materials from documentation to education materials. So from our perspective, screen recording tools were not built for those last two problems. They were built for creating net new content that has a shelf life. And I think if you go back to 2015, in 2015, I was in the learning content management software business. That's my background in 2015. It was all about reusability and keeping things up to date. And I can tell you one of the challenges was always, how do you produce something at a quality that was as good as Storyline or was as good as some of the e-learning tools that were out there? And I'll probably plug other tools. And what we discovered, what I learned through that experience was that people who are great at video in a company, or people who are great at building good e-learning materials using whatever, pick your tool du jour, you got products like Gomo and you got products like Articulate, and Storyline, you got other products that have been around for a while. They're in short supply. And so what happens is those people can't do the work themselves. And the only way to scale is to add more people. But adding more people is expensive. Normally customer education teams are not that big. And they're really not built for subject matter experts. Look, I've been around long enough, you've been around long enough to know that whether it's a video editing tool or it's an e-learning development tool, they're built for specialists. They're not built for people who come in and out infrequently and do this stuff. They're not built for subject matter experts who, are happy just to record a Zoom meeting of demoing the software. That's what they're happy to do. So now Videate is one of a lot of new technologies that are coming out to really de-skill what you need to produce videos. How do you do this? It's not just us. There are people we'll talk about later who build audio voiceover tools and so on. But our mantra was like, how do I get videos produced at scale, sustainably, that can change as often as they want? They're not every 6 months or once a year in your in your customer education. How do you do this in a way, Dave, that you don't need an army of video experts to do? You don't need someone who could do hand-built custom video editing after the screen recording and after the audio recording. And that's what we've set out to do, is build a platform. And it's really about technology that's become available. We're no different, I always say to people, than a lot of other automation tools that are being used in business. What do businesses try to do? Businesses try to take things that they can automate through technology to replace people who used to be doing it manually. Now, what happens is it creates this rotation where, okay, you could say, well, that's going to displace people who are video editors, Mark. Not really, because if you ask a video editor, like, what's your least favorite part of the job? They would tell you it's making the same video I made last month over again because somebody changed the button on the screen from the left side to the right side and turned it blue. So, what you really want to do is you want to use automation to get rid of the repetitive stuff so that people can work on higher value add stuff, because there's always a need for higher value add stuff. So long riff on that, Dave, but I think
it's good. Okay. You have done a really artful job in segging us into some discussion points where I think we could peel this apart and come at the problem from a compelling way. And, I think what you have said resonates with me, and I hope the audience in multiple ways. But one of the ways, storytelling time here, one of my managers who I dearly respected This was a long time ago. We had a philosophy. It was his philosophy. It was that we need to automate all of the boring stuff so that we can do the things that matter. And that means going back to a video editor. No, why tedious? Okay. Beautiful. Well done. Let's get into topic one here. I think we've got 3 good topics, beefy topics that we can use to peel apart this space. And what I'm really trying to do, Mark, is connect us with this audience. Again, these are people that are busy. They have high expectations upon them, right? This is customer education. They have low resources typically. There are teams out there that have 10, 15, 20 people, but that's rare. I would say in customer education, one of the things that is the optimum, and I'm caveating this, as an organization grows, there is this curve, the crossing the chasm curve. If we think about Jeffrey Moore, early, you're a small Series A, Series B, you're growing, you're doing stuff, and then you get bigger and you introduce more complexity, you want more video, and then eventually you either are a large company, you've exited, you're growing. This never ends. And there's just different places and different times you need to do stuff. Now, let's focus in on the current economic climate, which I think is a cauldron for discovery. It's pushing us to go to new directions because we have low resources. We have high expectations. First off, let me ask you this. Why would a manager, Mark, have high expectations about the ability to deliver video? What is it?
Yeah, look, we live in the video generation now. The people coming into the workforce and the people who are becoming managers and leaders in companies are digital natives. They don't know anything but digital. Okay, yeah. So there's a compelling argument for more and more video about your products. Second of all, we live in a very distributed world. Maybe, you could say it's a result of the pandemic and there's a lot of people working remotely, particularly knowledge workers. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're talking about software here. I always talk out to people, we're talking about, software and technical products that can change like that digitally. So, you have this sort of inherent need to communicate with people through video. It's both the market forces of what people see in their everyday life. That's how they like to consume content. I go, how do I do something? Well, I could go Google how to change the oil in my car. And the probability is I'm going to watch a video on how to change the oil, not read the instructions. Now, it's not one or the other. SaaS companies cannot get away without building, a good support portal with help articles and so on.
You're talking documentation there, the written.
Yeah, but
it does this and this and this. Yeah.
Yeah, but video is a must-have. It's no longer a nice-to-have. So when I think about these small departments, and education departments, by and large, as you said, are not massive organizations. Yeah, there are big teams out there, but by and large, we talk to people who've got 1, 2, 3, 10, 20 people. That's kind of where you go. And then there's some big billion-dollar customers of ours that have, big departments, 50, 100.
Of course.
When you talk about people building content for educational purposes, it's thin, it's lean. And with video, the cost and the time is really prohibitive. So it's ripe for doing something better. It's ripe for technology. You talked about, get rid of the boring stuff, if you break the problem down into 3 basic things with video, okay, it's your software changes too frequently. You have a shortage of expert video resources, okay, and that there's a compelling need to move away from long form education to short form video. So, Bob Mosher, Con Gottfredson, give them some credit. They've been pounding this 5 moments of need thing forever.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, you guys have been doing this a long, but I think it's really starting to hit stride, particularly customer education. Like, you got to onboard people. You have to give people as efficient an onboarding a process as you can. Customer education is at the forefront of that. If you don't have good educational materials, onboarding becomes a high-touch problem. You have to segment your audience. Like, how do you take, if you're a SaaS company, how do you take your small customers, your medium customers, and your large customers, and make sure that the content is tailored to the type of sophistication and type of budget that they have? You know what I'm saying? So video is absolutely critical towards getting to that self-service model. And it's critical in education, it's critical in support, technical support, customer success, all of these things fit together. So, look, small departments, people want high quality video video is part of your brand. They want stuff that looks good. They don't want stuff that looks like a TikTok video. Even though they watch TikTok videos on a personal basis all day long, when you're thinking about a video, they really don't want your library of video to be 22 different subject matter experts in your companies, all who are recording Zoom videos, some of whom actually speak in a good voice with the right kind of inflection, timbre, some of whom, should have never made a video in the first place. How do you get that consistency, standardization? How do you get scalability? And you can't do it by just adding bodies, because you'll never get the budget for it. You'll never be able to get it.
Okay.
I need 6 more people. Not going to happen.
Let me take the baton from you for a minute. And I love all the things you're saying are dead on. So then from a high expectation, it's kind of multifaceted, isn't it? That the market itself, the consumer devices that we have here, the mobile phones, the TikToks, the YouTubes, the shorts, videos in LinkedIn, all of these things have been this steady wind that has been it's inculcating ourselves into this environment of video, right? Yeah. So that our leadership now is, you could just make a video. I mean, let's make it be that. I'm a leader. I go, we should have video, and it should look good, and it should be done quickly, and it should do and. Okay, now who's going to do that? I'll have Jerry and Jane make these videos. Okay, now these people have never done this before. Okay, let's get them a tool. So that it's this, I feel this push as a leader and as a practitioner. I've felt this deeply, that we don't have budget. That's why I've been scrappy. I had to go find tools that would work. I found like Camtasia and Captivate and Articulate and all this stuff. And now what the problem becomes is like, oh my God, I have to capture all this. I have to edit this. I have to talk through this. It is a human problem.
Right.
But we know we can do better. And that's where, I think it's really hard, because you need to think differently about the content. It's not just to what you said. It's not just, I can record this video and it's perfect. It's happening fast. We actually do. The problem to me is that, let's go back to TikTok, or let's go back to YouTube, because one of the things I've thought about YouTube that's so important, and why I've become so attracted to it, is I go, oh my God, I got a problem. There's something wrong with my car, or my specific RV, or my, something. What do? I go to YouTube and I look up a video for it. And lo and behold, there's 3 or 4 different people who actually may be employees at a car dealership working in maintenance, who decided this problem comes in a lot, and they recorded a dumb TikTok video, which is not dumb, and it solves my problem. And that feeling of, oh my God, I can create the video, and it doesn't have to be perfect, is liberating. But now let's go down that road too. Look, I'm going to go into our second point here, which is, what is the job that our content is here to do for our companies? I'll tee that up to you.
Look, to kind of follow up, look, content's got to be part of the customer journey at every step. You got content. Yep. You got content when they first engage. I mean, how many people invest in marketing content to make sure that, an inbound or someone who's come to your website gets the right content. It's a conversation we have every day in marketing. It's a conversation every company has every day. So video is part of that. And, how-to videos and educational videos are not post-sale activities anymore. They're part of the whole journey. The buyer's journey may be doing a free trial early in the process. You know what I'm saying? You may have a freemium model. You may have some, most SaaS companies have, tiered pricing models where features get turned on, sort of good, better, best pricing. Like we have that as well.
Yeah.
And, so you have all this need for video. And like you said, it's interesting because to change the oil in your car, that video is going to have a long shelf life. But, to perform a task in a piece of business to business SaaS software, that could change pretty frequently. Not only could the UI change, the parameters that you have to put in could change, the workflow could change. So you can't just throw video out there. I've had people say that to me. I've had executives say to me, oh, if I was going to make a video, I would just sit down with QuickTime and make a video and put it out there. Yeah, that sounds great. Now, who's going to make it look like the rest of your videos? And who's going to make it sound like the rest of your videos, Well,
I think we're even glossing over the most important point in all this. So let's talk about that executive that says, all right, Dave, and this happened to me before. Dave, we've got this new product and we've changed so much of things. Can you just throw together a video to do this? And I go, okay, yeah, I can do that. No problem. But what's the point? The point to all of the work that we made, I like to champion my educational consultants and instructional designers that I work with. The point to all the content is to help achieve an outcome. Every video I would create is supposed to do something. But as a gestalt, as the whole of the function that I deliver as customer education, it is feature adoption, engagement with my product, support deflection, demo, right? General knowledge about the product space and the feature sets, and these overlap fluidly with other functions in a company, the sales department, the marketing team, the support team, the ops team, the whatever, right? So we're here to do something that's inherently different than just throwing a video. Let's say I'm a car dealership and I know that I've seen these videos, how to take my key fob and train my remote control garage door opener in my car to work with my garage door opener. I had to look up 3 or 4 different videos on how to do that. But that was a different kind of a problem for the manufacturer, for the company. They don't care if you use your garage door opener with your car. You care less. There's somebody there in the kindness of their heart put that video out. Now flip it to me at X company who has a churn problem. And I have that churn problem that's a compounded problem because quarter after quarter with systemic changes to my UI, now I have this regression problem where my customers go, oh, in September 2021, the information I'm seeing visually matched 100% with what I'm saying, the application I'm using does. 2 months later, 5 months later, 6 months later, a year later, that shifts. So now this need for adoption engagement is turned into a problem of where I have to update and maintain, and I have to pump out so much more video and changes to that video that this is where we're a wind, right? We're trying to map at 0 day, at day of release, at moment of release, when our CI, continuous, whatever deployment, CD platform spits out the new thing, my education is updated.
I know, yes, Dave.
That's a different world. That's a totally different world. Amazingly
clear. Day 0. The goal is day 0 content. That's it for everybody. Doesn't matter what kind of content it is. We have a customer. They have their head of vice president of globalization. They're doing really well. They think of the world as we got to globalize all content, marketing content. We've got to globalize support content. We've got to globalize educational content.
Oh my, globalize. What do you mean by globalize?
Multiple languages, multiple, how do you deal when you expand your software company? We all know you can go to Microsoft or Oracle or SAP, and their documentation is going to be in 50 languages. Fine, because they have big teams of people who've been doing that for a long time. But if you're not one of those billion-dollar companies, and even billion-dollar companies, I've seen a lot of them struggle with this. You're not decabillions, if you will. How do you get your video into Spanish and French and German and Portuguese, and then Chinese and Japanese? I mean, that is like so impossible to do manually. So that one is is a killer. But, I was saying this, the VP of globalization in one company basically said, look, we got to put our content out, and our goal should be to have our primary languages out almost at the same time, if not at the same time. There is work to do when you're translating things. It's not like making a video. But if you start with making videos and keeping them updated, unless you keep your videos updated, you have no way to localize and globalize things. And as far as keeping them updated, I know that if you were talking to one of the screen recording tools out there, they would tell you, we have lots of people who keep their videos up to date. Yeah, not really in customer education. I think if you talk to people in customer education, it's a huge struggle to keep stuff up to date. It's a huge struggle to deal with software in general and trying to keep it up to date. And, look, you have to find that balance between doing it perfectly and doing it timely. And that's the part of the problem with video, is that to a certain extent, everybody, and I'll stop here and let you riff on it. Everybody's kind of created a standard of video that they think is going to help the customer learn how to use their product faster, or learn how to use their product better, or whatever the criteria is. But the reality of it is most people just want to get answers quickly, like you do, about how do I do the key fob. So short form video, lots of short form video, product coverage. How do you go from having 20 super nice looking, perfect videos with all the after effects you could put it in there and everything else, to 200 of them, so that when they have a question, they can watch a video. They don't have to call the help desk. They don't have to call the learning department. When your curriculum comes out and your certification programs come out, every module can have video in it, as opposed to some, because you can't, you don't have the time or the money to build them all. So I'll finalize it this way. You started in customer education with, what's the end game? What is the outcome we're trying to achieve? That's what instructional designers and people who work in customer education are very focused on. But I think there's somewhat of a disconnect between the perfection of the content and the velocity of the content. And we live in a velocity world now. And video, by its nature, has not had technology that made it a speedy thing to create and a speedy thing to update. And that's the problem we set out to solve.
That's perfect, Mark. I mean, that's what I want to riff on again is the felt experience of this, because I think the most important thing for a practitioner or a leader who is working in a customer education role, for them to have in their toolkit and also in their cognitive toolkit, is to be able to enter into a dialogue. So let's role play this for a minute. Mark, hey Mark, or Mark, you say, Dave, we need to do these videos and we need to keep them up to date and we need to do all this stuff. And then there's poor me. And I go, Mark, I get exactly what you're talking about. But me as the practitioner with experience now and understanding the tools that are available to us in 2023, right? So this is not the 10-year ago me or the 20-year ago me, it's now. Okay, I know what we need to do. There's the concept of that iron triangle, right? In project management, the iron triangle, like the time, speed, cost. What we're now seeing with platforms such as Videate is that we're actually can cheat a little bit on the iron triangle. It's a little bit more squishy because the speed part can be impacted and helped extended a little bit, because we can have formulaic systemic processes that develop the content we need to get to our customers in a timely manner. So what I'm really trying to say here is, look, I've spent enough time as a developer and worked with and I've been a project manager, and I've done the things to watch how I have this deep felt sense of understanding how long it actually takes to get something done. And I think that's something that we have to connect with as leaders to leadership, is that it takes a non-zero effort to get something done. You want this Mercedes, this like really awesome car, right? I'm not giving you that. You can pay for that. Do you want it? It's a lot of money, right? But if you want this, and we know, look where we are in time. We've gone through COVID. We've blown out to the four winds. People are working everywhere. It's hard to do the things. But what I need, Mark, is to have an automated tool that's constantly pumping out the changes in the video and the language that I could actually take and reuse and add on to with a video editor, or make bigger, or I could focus that video expertise of a human being's time and energy on maybe skill type training that doesn't necessarily relate directly to what the product is doing. Or I might now make a course for leaders who can understand and grok the deeper executive function of my product and give them a training. Like, basically, you're doing a lot more with a lot less.
Look, I agree, Dave, and I don't want the conversation to go away from our goal at Videate is to produce videos that are so high quality that the best video editor in a company would say, I couldn't do it any better. That's our goal. Okay. Now, we're a young company and we're getting closer and closer to that goal. And last month we had a customer webinar where we went over our roadmap for the year. And this month, at the end of this month, we're going to release part of our product that's going to take us to a level of finish and polish that you can do in Adobe After Effects. It's
Holy
a big
cow.
goal for us. Okay. But the art of handcrafting videos, the time, money, the things you were talking about in the Iron Triangle, it doesn't scale. And the fact of the matter is, it's not how fast can an individual video editor make a video. Because think about this, like the industry average for videos, we've heard time and time again, is from script writing to screen recording to voiceover to review to putting in special effects, zooms, highlights, cutting out dead time,
transitions, things like that.
The rule of thumb everyone been using for many years has been 4 hours per minute of video. That's it. Okay, we're talking about how-to videos. And what we've seen is, the best-in-class people have probably gotten down to three hours to a minute of video. You have to write the scripts and things like that today. I'll come back to that in a second. And there are tools out there like these AI voiceover tools, which we plug into our platform. We're not in the voice building business, that help get it down, from 4 hours to 3 hours and so on. But if you were explaining to your boss, like, okay, how much video do you think we need to produce? And they said, well, we want 80% of this product to be covered in video, how-tos, how to add a user, how to create a transaction, how to reverse a transaction, whatever, make your list of all the videos you need for all the curriculum you have. But we want it to be a certain coverage for educational videos, support videos, whatever it is could be. Then the question could be, how frequently do you software change? Okay. Well, not every software change is a complete UI change. So the first thing is, can you help me figure out which ones have got to change? And second of all, can you, when you factor in the time it's going to take, let's just say 25% of your videos need to be made every quarter. Okay. Well, you're not making 200 videos once a year. You're now making 200 videos to start, plus 50 videos 3 more times. So it's 350 videos times that amount of time. Okay. Yeah. Now, so what you really need is you need to say, where is the order of magnitude technology saving? Where's the piece of technology that can take this and give me the 10x effect? How do I get the 10x effect? So one person can produce 10 times more video, not just once, but keeping it updated and potentially translating it into other languages or building derivatives of it for other roles or markets or segments what they're going to do. And that's what we believe we can do at Videate, is that it's not about explaining to your boss, like, how long does it take to make one video? It's how long does it take to maintain it, to keep it up to date, okay, to translate it, to localize it, and to build and to have enough product coverage where you're going to impact the customer success factor. See, customer ed, when I started on this, I'm sorry, I'm taking a tangent. No, customer ed is part of customer success. That's just it. It may report somewhere else right now, and there's been this big rotation, as you've probably seen, about where customer ed reports. But the fact of the matter is, customer education is critical to user adoption. It's critical towards stickiness and retention and all these other things. And so I always look at the world and say, video, whether it's for customer education or for product support or whatever, is all tied to customer success. That's it. How do we retain customers? How do we get them, time to value quicker? And if the problem is that keeping videos up to date with your software is critical to doing that, then no one's going to let you answer the question, Dave, well, if you want 80% product coverage and you need to keep them up to date, I need 5 more video editors. Man, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? So the proposition is how to use the technology that's emerging to do this. And there's great technology emerging to help you out here.
Yeah, you know what, though? I've actually said that and done that, where I had a team and I did it out of spite more than anything, to say, how do we make a maintenance cycle that we keep our content updated as much as possible? How can we do that? It can be done, but it's sloppy, messy, not perfect. It takes a lot of people and it takes a lot of money. And the feeling of that is you get this, you sometimes actually end up getting something that I don't like to get into, which is well, now we're looking at the velocity of your delivery of people. And that turns into this, well, there's the last thing an instructional designer, learning experience designer wants to be is graded on content velocity. You know what I mean? Because they're creatives. There are people that are there to impart their love of a product. Sometimes, sometimes people aren't that joyous about the platform they're producing content for. But you know what I want to riff on real briefly before we've got about 10-ish minutes before we wrap up. But the experience that I had with the platform, and this is one of those cases where I'm really happy to say I know more about Videate than just the name, that I understand how it fits into the production cycle. And I think what really helps is that me having spent time in development and understanding, I want to make an assertion here about customer education, that there's one piece of our organization that if we can automate, and when I say automate, I say that a little fuzzy, but I mean, what if, let's practice, work out loud. All right, I have Videate. I have a team. My job, I have, let's say, 10 pieces of content that are core pieces of content. They're that 80%. I need to keep them updated every month. So how I would work into that is the thing that I really enjoy about the platform is I can essentially create a script, my script that I would make anyway, my storyboard, right? Mm-hmm. Show this, do this, say this, whatever. It's columns, very easy, very straightforward. This is what I would be doing as an instructional designer, developing my script and my story to give to a developer to make that video. Mm-hmm. Do all these things, blah, blah, blah. And then my developer goes off and they make it. Right? It's tedious. They got to log into the app. They've got to do some things. Actually, we've got into an argument recently about that. It's like, I need, as a developer for training content, access to an environment, a demo environment that's real, right? And sometimes I even need to go one step further, Mark, and I might need to run that script in a customer's unique environment that's different from the other people. This is a combinatorial explosion. This is one of my favorite words I used to teach in game design. Combinatorial explosion is I have to do one thing 10, 100, 1,000,000 times. It's now that's also scale, right? So everything you're saying is, if I, as a customer education, I'm like now an engineer, right? I'm working with my product team and I go, we have a tight relationship. And we together have made the scripts that are these foundational scripts that go one level up from documentation, right? Because now we're into the space of video, showing, doing. And now I'm maintaining that and I can put that in my continuous release or continuous deployment process. I can create video scripts that produce the content in all the different languages and several different things. Those videos can be created alongside my, it can be kicked off at night. It could, your application actually can log in, go through all of the, hopefully this is okay with you for me parroting back what your platform does. But could you, as a listener now, imagine I have an automated system that does this. I'm not doing it. And we could even go to the point where I'm working with my development team and my data science people and all this stuff. Think about this. Like, we get to Kirkpatrick and beyond in education. We're really wanting to see the outcomes of the things that I have. Well, if I've cut that production cycle down to really nominal, I've actually deployed that content automatically, maybe even into my LMS on the fly. Now my team's freed up to focus on the things that matter.
Dave, you're spot on, and great job explaining it. Look, for those on the call who don't know about Videate,
we want to go into a demo on that, or just talk about it out loud.
I want to talk about it. Our goal of making Videate was to de-skill the video production problem so you could scale, okay? And to make updates, make it faster to create, make it faster to update, and make it faster to localize, okay? So how do we do that? We start with a Word doc or a Google doc or an XML doc. We work in all of those environments. XML is pretty popular in the product documentation space, and so we can turn product tech docs into videos as well. It was part of where we began. But if you think about it, like, what do I mean by de-skill? Okay, what do you have to do to make a video? You have to write a script. Now, I've talked to some people who say, well, I'll just sit down and wing it. No, you don't. That's not how it really works. It's not how you make your educational materials. You don't just wing it, okay? But, there are
some people really do, Mark. I mean, really. We wing it a lot of the time.
I know. But you got to write a script, okay? We don't write the scripts for you. But guess what? We'll come back to this later in another episode. That's where ChatGPT and generative AI is starting to make inroads into, like, can we actually start to automate the creation of scripts? That's a whole nother topic, okay? But then you have to screen record, you got to voice, and you got to post-production edit. I got to cut out the part of the screen recording that was waiting for a query to return results. It sat there for 30 seconds. I don't want the user to sit there for 30 seconds. Somebody's got to chop that out. I got to, a voiceover. Look, if you're doing manual voiceovers, you got to get rid of the ums and the stammers and the dog barking and the leaf blowers blowing at home. And that, if you use an AI tool, an AI voice tool, that helps a bit with that. But you got to deal with pronunciation and words that aren't spelled right and things like that. There's audio editing as well. And then you got to do the stuff at the end, the part that puts the polish on. You got to put the bumper video in, put the transition out. You got to fade between this part of the video and that part of the video. You got to make sure that when I'm changing from the admin role in the video to the regular user role, it's got a smooth, feel to it, all of those things. Yeah. That's video editing. With Videate, our goal was to say, write down what you want to say, add to it what you want to do. It's part of our tool. I want to click here. I want to type some data into this field. I want to check a box. I want to, I want to pick from a drop-down list, and we'll do the rest for you through automation. I always say, if you want to think about what Videate is an army of software robots sitting up in the cloud, and you send them a script and they send you back an MP4. And that's how it works. Now, we're not perfect yet. We're still raising the bar. We're still getting better at things. We've been in business for 3.5 years. We've only been in the market for about 2 years after we built the product. But what I can tell you is that we have people at companies who have no video editing experience, never built professional videos before, banging out educational and onboarding materials at a level of quality in 1/10 of the time it would take someone to learn how to be a video editor.
Yeah.
And that's only getting better. We live and breathe every day, Dave, to say, how do we get to that next level of order of magnitude improvement? So I think really what it comes down to is I go back to my e-learning example. A good person using an e-learning tool can create amazing interactive e-learning, where the user clicks here and does that. But think about it. A lot of the early tools for customer education, I'll leave the names out here, were like, take a screenshot and then, pretend the user's filling in a field or clicking something. Yeah. That doesn't fly anymore. The software changes too fast. You got to use the real software. So it's no longer about how good can human editors make things. It's now about how do we combine automation with human beings being the final arbiter of the truth. Okay, how's that for a word today? Like, we're not going to displace all the instructional designers and the video editors. We're going to get rid of all the boring and repetitive stuff.
Yeah.
And make it scalable and sustainable. So you're not dependent Like, you know how many companies call me up and say, I'm a 2-person customer education department and my video editor just left. You're kind of hosed right now. Good luck.
Yep. Should have given them that raise, but okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when you think about where this all leads to, Dave, like AI is all over the news. I mean, come on, let's face it. In 3 months, this chat GPT stuff has forced everybody. Today, Salesforce announced they're adding chat GPT to Einstein. I read the article. I wake up every day and there's a new article about somebody doing something. Yeah. So there's 4 parts to video making that are ripe for technology. Okay. Let's start at the beginning. Script writing. Now, chat GPT, products like that. I see somebody just leaked Google's Llama code out the door, which is very sad. I just saw a thing on that. So we're going to get to the point, Dave, and this is where we started. We're going to get to the point where you're going to dump into a private repository, not the public web scrape that these tools work off of. And it's going to learn from your product documentation and everything else how to write a script. And that script's going to be 80% accurate. And all the person's going to do is clean up the last 20%. Great. I've just saved you some time. Now, remember, screen capture is about 20% of the overall process of making a video. Okay. What's the next piece of it? The next piece is I got to record screens. Okay. We built a platform to automate the recording of screens. We can capture and record screens at a speed that no one else can. We're first to market, and we're trying to build a big moat around ourselves. Okay. As we say. Voiceover. Great. There's great voiceover tools. You know them out there. We started with Amazon and Microsoft Cognitive Services, and we've worked with IBM Watson. And, we just signed a partnership with CELab, and we plugged them into our platform as well. There's other people out there who, if there's a particular voice you like out there, you like it. Look, there are a lot of people in the education space, Dave, who still think I got to have a human being doing this. Okay. Well, there's companies out there like Synthesia that are building avatars, and those avatars are getting better. It's a personal opinion, or, back to my political or other argument. Like, some people don't like avatars. Some people want a talking head. But most of the world is going to a place where I got to go faster. So I got to write scripts faster. There's technology emerging for that. I got to do screen recording. There's technology like Videate that's already out there. I got to do voiceover. There's technology that's as good as a human being speaking for 3 minutes, and you can hardly tell the difference. And most customers would rather have soft videos that are always up to date with a computer-generated voice, as opposed to waiting for the human being to do the voiceover. And the last piece of it is machine translation for localization. I mean, come on, we all use Google Translate. Like, somebody says, like, oh, I don't understand somebody, and they said a word. But those kinds of tools, there's enterprise tools out there that do this at scale. And we have customers who can go at unheard of speeds now. One customer, we did a webinar with them a few months in late January. They went public with it. What used to take them 6 or 7 months to catch up their educational curriculum in other languages, they're already down to 6 weeks in 8 languages. Okay?
Wow.
And it's going to get even faster now. Okay, there's a big QA. So think about it. Where does AI fit into making video production faster? ChatGPT, generative AI, is going to be all over enhancing the script writing process. Videate's out there to do all of the automation from beginning to end. There's voiceover tools we plug in, and you can use standalone whenever you need them. That are out there, AI generated voices that have gotten great. Okay, and machine translations out there that's AI based and learns your product, learns the terminology used, and gets better. So, I mean, it's happening. Video's part of the world, but it's happening around you. And I don't see how video editors could just say, I'm going to make everything by hand. That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, it's a transformative moment, Mark. I think this is you're doing a really good job articulating this space. And I think, check out this product. If you're an instructional designer, and again, I really like the messaging you said about, we're going to transition. These are tools that help you. This isn't something to be afraid of. I mean, this is the standard thing. I love this as a tool in my toolkit, because it allows me to go so much more faster, to do more, to achieve what we really need to achieve in customer ed, which is scale. Scale comes first. Speed comes first. Getting to our customer, helping them out comes first. And that's probably one of the most palpably important things that in business, in SaaS, with software, we have to have that velocity. Because if we don't have that velocity, we fail. We come in and take months to do something that should take days.
I'll leave you with this about video. When we first got started, we were looking at this problem, Dave and I, Dave, my partner Dave, and we were fascinated by the fact that the actual production process of making a video using a screen recording tool and voiceover really hadn't changed in 30 years. And we were like blown away by the fact, because like it's a gold mine to find a business problem that the technology been basically the same for 30 years. I mean, that doesn't exist in a lot of business. So, all we could say is that if you're in customer education, and you're all about what are the learning outcomes and how do people get certified and use my product, because that's what I got to get to at the end of the day. How do I get them to competency as fast as I can so I have better retention, I have better time to value, and I don't churn? Then anything that you could do in the middle to eliminate the content, to speed up the content production part of it at a level of quality that is going to meet the needs of your audience, well, why wouldn't you do that?
Why wouldn't you? Okay, with that, that's amazing. So, Mark, I'm going to take us out now. This has been wonderful. Where can we find you, and where can we find more information about Videate?
Great. Well, Videate's at www.videate.io. We own the .io thing.
.io. Okay.
It's videate.io. We're obviously on social media as well. LinkedIn's an easy way to get to us. You can get to me at M. Hellinger on LinkedIn. And we'd love to chat. And Dave, thank you for giving us the opportunity to share our thoughts and sponsor the show. We think you're doing a great job, and we hope we get a chance to do this again and tell you more about what we're up to.
Fantastic, Mark. Okay, this is great. This has been an excellent episode. We appreciate you being on, Mark, and get out there and learn about Videate at videate.io. Folks, audience, again, thanks for joining us. If you want to learn more, we have our podcast website at customer.education. Very simple, easy to get to. There you can always find our show notes and other material that will help you get connected to the right tools and the right players like Mark here at Videate. And please, if you found value in this podcast, one of the things that we're always asking is to get out there, share with your friends, with your peers, over beers, in your network, and help us find the others. Mark told you where you can connect with him. We're out there on LinkedIn all the time and on YouTube and other places. Special thanks to Alan Coda for providing our awesome theme music, which has been upgraded, and we appreciate it. And if you're subscribed not right now, we'd really love a 5-star review from you. It helps us to share the love with the rest of the world. So to our audience, thanks for joining. Get out there, educate, experiment, find your people. Thanks, everybody.